This assembler is responsible for generating the binary code. Literals or constant values are stored in the literal table along with their addresses. These symbolic opcodes are replaced by its equivalent numeric opcodes. Hello everyone, it is Dr. Ravikumar Vaibi. Today we shall see the working of this machine architecture and assembler. That means how the architecture of an assembler is done in computers. That means the design of an assembler is done with the help of some softwares. These assemblers are responsible for converting any middle level language or assembly level language into its equivalent binary machine understandable language. That is why it is called as a machine architecture and an assembler. Today we shall see how the assembler is designed and what is the importance of having the assembler. The main purpose of having the assembler is for converting the instructions written in the assembly level language or low level assembly code into its relocatable machine code is called as assembler. This assembler is responsible for generating the binary code. How does the assembler knows that the instructions written in the assembly level language is to be converted into its equivalent binary machine understandable code? That is the topic of our interest today. Now, if I say that there is a translator required for translating the information written in one language to another format, we have a translator called assembler. Similarly, in my previous classes, I had given you the information of translation, how this translation is done by the compiler and how the translations are done by the assembler. If that is the case, which techniques help us to determine the equivalent machine code for the assembly level code written by the programmer? Because the system doesn't know the assembly level language or high level language. The system knows only zeros and ones. So there must be some translator which converts the information or the program written in assembly level language or the high level language into its equivalent machine level language. If that is the case, how the assemblers have been designed? Let us see to the details of it in today's session. Now, here by evaluating the mnemonics in operation field and finding the values of the symbol and literals to produce the machine code. It is not a simple job for the assembler to translate the information of assembly code into an equivalent machine level code, because there must be some data structure which maintains the information of this assembly level language or the high level language like C, and the data structure which pertains to these information written in the high level language or the assembly level language must be converted into the corresponding low level language like a machine understandable code. Please understand that we must have a data structure. Which is the data structure that supports me to translate the information from one form to the other form? Opcode table. What is the meaning of opcode table? Let me clarify you that. An operation code table, which is again a data structure table that maintains this list of operation codes used in the program. Similarly, we have symbol table. What is the meaning of symbol table? Symbol table is again a data structure that maintains the list of symbols used in the program. Similarly, we have one more table, literal table. Suppose if I assign some values to the registers, from registers to memory, then I must have some equivalent data structure called literal table to keep track of the list of literals defined in the program. So we must have all these type of data structures to translate the information from assembly level code to the machine level code. Then how these tables are filled up with some appropriate values. That is very important task while converting the information from assembly level code to the machine level code. If that is the case, let us see the working of that. Now, if the assembler does the task of converting the information from assembly level code to the machine level code in one pass, then we say that assembler is a single pass assembler. If the assembler takes two passes, means two steps or two phases of information to convert the assembly level code to its equivalent machine level code, then we state that the assembler is a two-pass assembler. Suppose if the assembler takes more than two passes or more than two phases to convert the information from assembly level code to the machine level code, then we state that the assembler is a multi-pass assembler. So I hope you are following well. That is, what is the meaning of a single pass assembler, what is the meaning of two pass assembler, and what is the meaning of multi-pass assembler. In case of multi-pass assembler, we will be having multiple stages to translate the information from one form to the machine level code. In case of two-pass assembler, we will be having only two stages to convert the information from assembly level code to the machine level code. In case of single pass assembler, it is the load and go assembler. That means immediately when the assembly level language code is loaded to it, it is translated into its equivalent machine level code. That's all. That is why we call it as a single level assembler for converting the instructions to its equivalent machine level code. Let us see to the pass one. In your syllabus, you have two pass assemblers. Let us see how does the two pass assembler converts the language from assembly code to its equivalent machine level code. That is, in pass one, it maintains the symbols. That is, the symbols and literals are to be remembered. As I have already told you that a symbol table is a data structure or a table which collects all the different types of symbols used in my program. Similarly, we have another table called literal table. A literal table is another table which contains only the data items like constants or any data item which we enter into the register or from register into the memory. All those literals or constants or values like 10, 20, 30, 40, 100, 200 or anything. All these literals or constant values are stored in the literal table along with their addresses. Please don't forget to keep this in your mind. Even though whether it is a symbol table or it may be a literal table or it may be an opcode table, all these are the data structures that maintains the corresponding symbols in their symbol table, literals in their literal table along with their addresses. That is very, very important in case of translating the information from assembly code to its equivalent machine level code. Now, let us see. To keep track of location counter, I will also call this as an LC, location counter. What is the meaning of location counter or program counter? Location counter is one that will locate the address of the next instruction to be executed. Then process pseudo operations. What is the meaning of pseudo operations? These symbols defined in the program must be filled up with their addresses. During this process, there are several difficulties which the assembler comes across. The difficulties may be in terms of forward references. I am using the word forward reference here. The requisite for forward reference is to obtain the address of the label used in the program before it is defined. Suppose if I have a label at the beginning of the program, that is, it is used here, but it is defined somewhere else in my program at the down. But it doesn't know that where exactly the address of that label is defined. So in such cases, we require a methodology called forward reference resolution. What is the meaning of resolving the forward references? Reference indicates address, forward address or future address. That means the labels used in the program is defined somewhere in the future references. Such addresses must be filled up at the later part of the execution of the program. So that is why we require two-pass assemblers. Two-pass assemblers are good enough than single-pass assemblers because these kind of forward references problems can be resolved very easily in case of two-pass assembler than with one-pass assemblers or single-pass assemblers. Now, if that is the case, these pseudo operations are performed here in case of pass 1 of the assembler. Now, in case of pass 2, we will generate the object code. The object code will be in the form of zeros and ones, 0, 0, 1, 1, 0. Like this kind of data you will observe in case of object code. Now, these symbolic opcodes are converted into its corresponding numeric opcodes. Please understand that the symbolic opcode is converted into its equivalent numeric opcode. That means if there is any symbol defined in the program must be replaced by its numeric value, whether it may be a 00, 10 or 11 or 10 or 01 or maybe anything like this. These kind of numeric symbols are used to represent the symbolic opcodes. Then generate data for literals and look for values or values of symbols. We have to generate the data for literals. Literals means the constant value or any data item like 10, 20, 30, all those are literals or constant values which we have used in our program. And we want to generate the data for those literals and look for the values of those symbols. Then we shall take up the small simple program which is written in assembly level language, for which you need to understand 3 columns here. You need to observe 3 columns here, which is that label is one column, opcode is another column, operand is another column. Please be careful when you read the assembly level program. The assembly level program consists of mainly these types of columns, that is label, opcode and operand. If that is the case, we shall see one simple program. This is one of the example program in pass 2 where M is called the label, add is called the operand, opcode. This is called as entirely, this is called as an operand. Now, if you see that M is a label here, add is a symbolic opcode. These symbolic opcodes like add, sub, multi, div, all these are called as symbolic opcodes. As I have already discussed with you in the first session, that these symbolic opcodes are replaced by its equivalent numeric opcodes, that is 0001, 1011, like these kind of numeric opcodes. Then R1 is a symbolic register which I am using here, and 3 is a literal, which is again a constant. I am storing the value 3 into this register R1. Now let us see to the details of it in one simple program. Here label is one column, opcode is another column, operand is another column. This is called as location counter value or the addresses of this. Now here we have the name of the program, that is John. Start is again an opcode and 200 is the beginning address of that. Now we have the first instruction, that is the start code. When the assembler sees that the start opcode is it is an indication to the assembler that the program is beginning. Now we have the next instruction, move R. What is that it indicates? We have the literal value 3 here. We have an opcode here. Opcode must be converted. These symbolic opcodes must be converted into its equivalent numeric opcodes. We shall see later on what is that numeric opcode and what is the equivalent form of numeric opcode for this move R. Now I want to assign the value 3 into this register R1. This together is called as an operand. What is the meaning of this address or location counter? In short, I will call it as LC. Location counter indicates the address of the location, memory location, where this value literal 3 is stored into this register R1. Then similarly, we have the next instruction with an opcode move M. What is the meaning of R? Move into registers. What is to be removed? The value 3 into this register R1, whether it may be a R1 or it may be R2 or it may be R3. In my case, I am using the register R1, so I am using the opcode move R, and the register R1 is filled with the literal 3 at the address 200. At 200th memory location, I have the value 3 which is moved into the register R1 using this opcode. What is the meaning of move M here? This is again an opcode, symbolic opcode, that is defining that move the value of register R1 into this label X. What is the value of X here? What is that X? X is a label. Memory location. X is a memory location. That is why I am using the word move M. M stands for memory. Move R stands for move into register. Move M stands for move data from register to memory. Register to memory. That's why I'm using that move into M, into memory, which is that memory location, X. What is to be moved into X? Register value R1. R1 is filled with the value 3 in the previous, literal 3 in the previous instruction. And now I am passing the value of R1 into the memory location labeled as the value X. What is the location counter of that? 201. Now I will move to the next instruction, which is again another literal, move R. Again, move into the register. What is to be moved? The value 2 into this register R2, which is stored in which location? 202. Then LTORG. What is the meaning of LTORG? Literal pool. Literal pool. What is the meaning of literal pool? It is a pool of data which contains the list of literals used in the program. Which are the literals I am using here? I am using the literals 3 and 2. I want to store the values of those, that is those literals in my literal table. In order to store all these literals in my literal table, I am using the statement called LTORG. LTORG is a literal pool that helps me to store the literals used in the program along with their addresses. Which is that literal I am using here? 3. What is the address associated with it? 200. And what is the address associated with it? 202. Where is that LTORG present? 203. So I will get the 203 and 205 as the values which is stored in the literal table. Then if that is the case, what does the symbol table contain? Again, the symbol table contains the list of symbolic opcodes used in the program. Which is that symbolic opcode I used in the program? That is move R, move M, move R, DS. All these are called as opcodes, symbolic opcodes. So we need to have the corresponding equivalent numeric opcodes for that. Then, and finally, create a data space of 1 for storing the value of X into it. That means I have this value X here, that is label X here, but it is defined somewhere here. What is the relation between X defined here with this? This is called as forward reference. What is the meaning of forward reference? I have come across the variable X, that is the memory location label X, but do I know the address of that X? Where exactly the X is located in my program? No, I do not know that. So in future, I will learn that the value X is stored at this location 204. Because at present, where is that? It is in 201. It doesn't know that where exactly the label X is present in the program. Suppose if it wants to know the reference or the address of the label which I am using now, it postpones the task of assigning the address of label X into the symbolic table to the future. That is called as a forward references. I hope you all are understanding very well. Let me take you into the next information, that is end. End is another symbolic opcode that indicates the end of a program. Now, let us take you into the Same list of instructions, what I explained now, which is given in the textual description. That is, start is the instruction that starts the execution of the program from location 200. And label with start provides the name of the program, that is John is the name for program. Then move R, it moves the content of literal 3 into register operand R1 as I told you earlier. Then move M, it moves the content of register into memory operand X. Then again move R, it again moves the content of literal 2 into register operand R2 and its label is specified as L1. You shall see to it in this case. L1 is the label I am using here. Where is that label? L1 is available here. Where is that label? What is that label L1 contains? Move R. And what is the address specified by that? 202. Now, if I use this label anywhere here, for example, if I use label L1, after this, if I write one more instructions like move M R2 comma L1, then this is the reference I am using here somewhere in future. If I write down immediately after this statement, if I write down this statement, this is an indication that L1 is the label which is going to be referenced in future. So this is resolving this kind of future references is called as forward references. Now, let me take you into the next slide, wherein you will see that LTORG, that is the current location counter value, that is literal pool. Then data space of 1 is created for symbol X. As I told you in the previous slide, that is data space of 1 is allotted to the variable symbol X. Then, and it finishes the execution of program. Then, in pass 1, what happens? Let us see to it in detail now. Define the symbol table and literal table with their addresses. This is called as a literal table. We have 2 columns here. In the first column, you will see the literal. Which is that literal value? 3. 3 is the value. But what is the address of that? I do not know. When it encounters this statement, it doesn't know where to store that. What is the address of that? It doesn't know that. So it has to be moved and kept in the address in the literal table with dash dash dash, that is blank. Next, in the symbol table, again we have 2 columns, that is symbols used and the address associated with that. Initially, it doesn't know anything. So X is the symbol I am using here and the address associated with it is also blank. Then, initially, the symbol table is filled with X and L1. X and L1 are the 2 symbols I am using here. Initially, it doesn't know that what is the address of this X in this part. What is the address of this? X is used somewhere here. So it doesn't know what is the address of that. 204. It doesn't know at this point of time, so it leaves it as blank. So X is blank. So similarly, L1, what is the value of L1? 202 is assigned. Right? 202 is assigned here. See here, L1 is present at this location 202. Right? If I use this statement move M R2 comma L immediately after this, and this refers to the L1 is located at this point of address, that is 202. So that is filled up. Again, that is a forward reference. The symbol is stored and initially at this point of time, it remains blank. Initially, if I write down that statement, initially the symbol table contains X and L1 with blank. Because both are future references. Later, when it encounters this statement, when it encounters this statement, it sees that there is a label L1 with this address 202. Immediately it fills that location with this address 202. Then it has not yet encountered the label X, so it is still blank. Which is that literal I have found here? Literal 3 and 2. Initially it is blank. Now later when it encounters this, see here, initially it is 3 and 2. Now when it encounters the LTORG, that is the literal pool is located at which address? 203. You shall see to it here. Literal LTORG is located at this address 203. So this assigns the value 203 into this location for 3. What about the literal value 2? When the end is encountered, the other value is also entered, that is 205. See here, the literal table is filled with this value, that is 203 for 3, 205 is obtained at this location 2. Now similarly, the symbol table consists of two symbols, that is X and L1, where X is the symbol which can be obtained at 204 and L1 is the symbol which can be obtained at 202. See here, see this program. X is the symbol used at this location. Where is that actually present? It is defined at this location. What is the address of this? 204. So you are observing 204 here in case of this. 204, X is defined at this location. This is the address of this label X. This is the address of this label L1. So similarly, we have this information. Now, if you see to it, you will see that the symbol table filled with these values, that is X equal to 204 and Y is equal to 202. That is L1 is equal to 202. So we are having these locations on memory, that is 201 may be present somewhere here, 202 may be present somewhere here, 203 may be present somewhere here. $200 is the beginning of this program. When this address is assigned, that is at this location, what is the name given to it? For this 204, the name given to it is X. What is the label given to it, symbol given to this 202? That is L1. Similarly, what is the value assigned to the literal table? What is the value assigned to the literal table? 203. That is, the value 3 is assigned at this, 3 shall be obtained at this location, 203. The value 3 is present at this location. Similarly, 2 is present at which location? 205. After executing the LTORG, that is when it encounters the end statement, the value 2 is filled with the address of that, which shall be seen here. So now the information is filled up with these, that is the data structures. At the beginning of this session, I told you that we maintain the data structure in the first pass. In the first pass of the assembler, the instructions written in the assembly level code are converted into its equivalent data structure format. That is, the tables are filled up with these values. These values which are stored in the tabular form are represented into its equivalent machine code in the second pass. That is, in case of second pass, we will come across different types of tables, data structure called MOT, also called as machine opcode table. We also have POT table, also called as pseudo opcode table. We also have called base table, storing the value of base registers. Then we have the location counter, All these are certain types of data structures we use in our second pass for mapping the data from the first pass to the equivalent machine level code. Thank you very much. Thank you all.